Gideon has chosen the reading for today, and he has kindly agreed to let me read from part of it from his own personal Bible. It's a story from the Hebrew Scriptures recorded in the first book of Kings, chapter 3, verses 4 through 28. Now, it's a famous story about a king named Solomon. In this story, the king and all of his court are celebrating a season of devotion to God by traveling through the land and stopping at sites that are considered to be holy or sacred. Now, Gibeon was one of the holiest places on their trip, and this is where we pick up the story. King Solomon and his entourage went to Gibeon and offered 1,000 offerings and prayers to express his devotion to God. That night, when the king was asleep, God appeared to him in a dream and said to King Solomon, "Ask for whatever you want me to give to you." King Solomon responded humbly that God had already shown astonishing favor to him by trusting him to serve as king over God's people in the first place. But then, in all honesty, he wasn't even sure how to carry out his duties. So he asked God not for wealth or long life or more power, but instead to grant him wisdom, to give him, as he said, a discerning heart to govern your people and to distinguish between right and wrong. God was pleased with Solomon's answer and said to him, "Since you have asked for this, and not for long life or wealth for yourself, nor for victory over your enemies, but instead for wisdom and discernment in administering justice, I will do what you have asked. I will give you a wise and discerning heart, so that there will never have been anyone like you, nor will there ever be. Not only that, I will give you what you have not asked for, both wealth and honor, so that in your lifetime you will have no equal among all the kings. As long as you follow my laws faithfully, I will also give you a long life, that you may continue to govern my people wisely and well." And then Solomon awoke, and he realized that it had been a dream. But he took that dream to heart, and he thanked God for the responsibility which he had been entrusted, and he set out to do his very best to live up to that honor. So one day, when King Solomon was holding court, hearing people's cases and administering justice, 2 women came and stood before him. One of the women said, "Pardon me, my lord, this woman and I live in the same house, and I had a baby while she was there with me. The 3rd day after my child was born, this woman also had a baby. We were alone, and there was no one in the house but the 2 of us. During the night, this woman's son died. So she got up in the middle of the night and took my son from my side while I was asleep. She put my son next to her and put her dead son next to me. The next morning I got up to nurse my son, and he was dead. But when I looked at him closely in the morning light, I saw that it wasn't the son to whom I had given birth. It was not my baby." The other woman said, No, the living one is my son, the dead one is yours." But the first insisted, "No, the dead one is yours, and the living one is mine." And so they argued before the king. King Solomon restated the problem. This woman says, "My son is alive, and your son is dead." While that woman says, "No, your son is dead, and mine is alive." And then the king said, "Bring me a sword." So they brought a sword for the king. And then he gave an order. "Cut the living child in 2, and give half to one woman and half to the other woman."
The woman whose son son was alive, was deeply moved out of love for her son, and said to the king, "Please, my lord, give her the living baby. Do not kill him." But the other said, "Neither I nor you shall have the baby. Cut him in two." Then the king gave his ruling. Give the living baby to the first woman. Do not kill the baby. She is the mother." When all Israel heard the verdict the king had given, they held the king in awe because they saw that he had wisdom from God to administer justice. This story means a lot to me personally and to many other people. I remember the first time I heard this story in church. It was a topic for the week. The pastor went on about how there would be no one like King Solomon, and how it took one heck of a person to ask for wisdom instead of money, a long life, and a big kingdom. I knew I wanted to be that humble one day, to ask for wisdom instead of anything else. And amazingly, even though Solomon only asked for God's wisdom, God gave him everything he didn't ask for as well. He received a long life and many riches, even though in his humility he hadn't wanted or asked for those types of things. I think that Solomon is the perfect example of Cardigan's core values. In his life, he lived up to every one of our core values and more. He was scholarly, compassionate, honest, respectful, fair, and he is held up even today as an example of great integrity and wisdom. I think that here at Cardigan, we can all strive to be more like Solomon. When we try to live by each of the core values, they all add up to being wisdom. The more we live by our core values, the wiser we will become.
Before I begin my speech here, I would first of all like to thank everyone here for actually listening to it. I would like to pick up on William's theme of wisdom and talk to you about a couple ways it can help us to better our Cardigan community. At this time of the year, we get to the point where the following things might have happened or will happen to you. Please raise your hand if your roommate is waking you up at 5:30 to take a shower, or not take a shower, either one. Okay. Your roommate invites his friends every single day of the week to your room. Okay. Your classmates' patience with each other is starting to wear thin, and you're getting on each other's nerves. This one I can say my class definitely all should raise their hands. I won't say that. You have too much homework and not enough time to do it. That's it. I'm also good about that. Many people at this time might start to be more and more sensitive and maybe less patient of tolerant and some other people's habits or behaviors, which is natural at this time of the year. I mean, it's winter, it's decently depressing. And that's what I wanted to talk to all of you about. William's story of King Solomon suggests that with wisdom comes compassion, and I would certainly agree. As we become wiser, we develop more compassion, not less. If we mature and wise, we don't have to insist upon getting our way all the time. We can be more patient with one another, and when the other guy is clearly wrong. We get to the point where we can give a second chance. Now that we have made it halfway through the year and are faced with short days, too much to do, and not enough time to do it, then this is the time to give each other a break. During this season, we are all students, and adults more likely to get mad at one another and not be our best, most likable selves. I want to share with you a story about a time when I was not at my best and how 4 people in particular gave me a second chance that I will never forget. In my 6th grade year, I was not the best or most outstanding student. Ask any of the 4-year boys here, or anyone who was 3 years ago, you understand it. So I had to get a disciplinary committee. One of the floor leaders, Chris Alberigi, he was the French 1 dorm leader, suggested that I move into his dorm in the French 1 common room, while Mr. Clark and Mr. Auerbach were supporting of this idea. Then the recommendation got passed to Mr. McCusker. Originally, I was going to get expelled without much consideration over it because I've been such a problematic student, and if it hadn't been for Chris, Mr. Clark, Mr. Auerbach, and Mr. McCusker, and also not Nakamura, Yuri Okada, I wouldn't still be in the school. And although I'm not perfect, and I will never be like all of us, I am certain that I was better for having been given a second chance to improve. Second chances are not just given so that we can grow up and screw up again. It's so that we can learn and change for the better. If we make a mistake, the best thing we can do is tell someone as soon as we can make it, say sorry, and ask for forgiveness and a second chance. If someone else makes a mistake that affects you, you can choose to bring it to their attention and give them a second chance to do better, instead of escalating the situation by getting mad or seeking revenge. I'm still working on not losing my temper, and some people in the hockey team might also agree with that. Giving other people a second chance. Partly I'm doing this because I am grateful for the second chances that have been given to me, like many redos for Mr. Gaucher's class, or test corrections for Mr. Kenny's class. I would like to challenge everyone in this chapel to give each other second chances, especially your roommates and classmates, because you might be working together and both of you might have a different opinion about something. There's great wisdom in doing this because it allows people to improve themselves and improve other people. After all, that's what we're here to do, so why not help each other along the way? I would like to conclude by saying one more thing. For each one of us, there's always room for improvement, and we have to trust one another to believe that deep down, we all want to improve. None of us, as they say, have the wisdom of Solomon, but we can all be compassionate to each other and cut each other some slack. Back to the story about King Solomon. The king wasn't really going to cut the child in half if you were thinking that. He knew that the real mother compassion for her baby would cause her to give up her own baby rather than have him be killed by a sword. The wisdom of Solomon was based in his compassion. I'm a believer that our wisdom can start here too. Thank you.